Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Kyrie Irving has some ideas. No, I know. Could the Dallas Mavericks trade for LeBron James? See, I told you. Also, which NBA team made the best coaching hire? And Ace fans are doing what to show their discontent with ownership? I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
One of the worst kept secrets in the NBA is that LeBron James and Kyrie Irving want to play together again. The latest fever dream, this time from Kyrie Irving himself, at least according to Shams Charania, is that it happened in Dallas somehow. According to Shams, Kyrie Irving reached out to LeBron about the possibility of them meeting up, not in LA, but in the great state of Texas. Nick Angstead from Locked On Mavs joins me now. And Nick, look, I understand this is probably not going to happen. Just let's humor me on this one, please. Is there how would it even work if it could work?
Now, look, if the Dallas Mavericks were ever to get
LeBron James,
they would have to bring him in some kind of crazy, weird trade, but it would have to come with the pretense of LeBron is forcing his way, doing what very few athletes in sports history could ever do, is to, hey, I have Clutch behind me. I have this whole media empire. I have all this that I can push onto this situation and force my way to a situation in a way that just wouldn't be tenable in other ways with any other athlete, with any other person. Do I think LeBron James can do that and make his way to Dallas? Sure. I think LeBron can make anything work and anything happen. I guess technically he got traded to the Heat from the Cavs.
Except Space Jam 2. Couldn't make that work.
It's on whatever Max or HBO or lose the HBO, whatever the app is called. It's on there. I watched it. I saw the whole thing. But he could make it work. Outside of that, in any kind of way that makes sense in your brain on a basketball court for the Lakers, that would have to accept that they're a franchise that has their own thoughts and feelings and ideas, and Rob Pelinka has to put together a basketball team. It just doesn't make sense. This is the trade if it all came to it and LeBron was like, all right, I'm going no matter what. It would have to be Reggie Bullock, Tim Hardaway, Maxi Kleber, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, the 2023 first round pick. So it would have to happen at the draft or quite near the draft because the Mavericks would have to make that selection and then trade it. And the Mavs 2027 first round. So they get 2 firsts. They get a young player in Jaden Hardy, young player in Josh Green, Maxi and Tim and Reggie, all 3 rotation players. They get everything the Mavericks have. Everything that didn't get them to the playoffs last year, they can have. Go ahead and have that. There's ways where you can swap Davis Bertans for 2 of those players if you wanted, if they didn't need as much to get this done. But even if I give you the good package that I just gave you, that still isn't moving the needle for LeBron James. And then on the Mavericks side, you look at it and say, well, do we want a going to be 39-year-old LeBron James to trade all this stuff, to trade a 2027 first-round pick who will probably be playing in the NBA when LeBron is not playing in the NBA anymore? Is that something that we want to do at this point? Is it all worth it just to do it for 1 year? And is there any way that they could rope in Draymond Green, who's always wanted to play with LeBron? Bob Myers is out in that situation. They want to save some money. Is there all kind of a way that we could put this all together? Then maybe. If it's just LeBron, Luka, and Kyrie, you add their salaries and Kyrie's projected max together, it literally equals $133.9 million.
Oh, no.
Peter Bukowski, tell me what the salary cap is in the NBA next year.
I think what is it, 150?
134. It's literally 0.1 more than just those 3 guys. They could put those 3 guys together and it could work under the salary cap. You could squint and make a trade package that makes sense. Outside of that, no, I'm out.
All right. Thank you for humoring me on that one. So let's try and read some tea leaves here, which in Kyrie's case, no telling what kind of tea that is. Why is this the smokescreen? Why is this the story that comes out now?
It's all leverage. I mean, this whole thing is just a leverage play because they know it can't happen. And I think it's a leverage play in one of 2 ways. One of them, I think this is now LeBron's second thing where he said, make the roster around me better, make this team around me better. Hey, right when I'm done, right when the season's over, I may retire. I may just like end my career. So that was the first one. Now the second one is this. Who knows where it came from? Did it come from LeBron? Did it come from Kyrie? We don't really know. An ironic thing is that Kyrie a week ago went on Instagram Live and said, hey, don't put words in my mouth, talking heads, TV people, reporters. Don't do this, and don't go out there and say that you know what I want to do and what I want to happen. I'm having people in my family at my dinner table telling me what to do. And now this comes out like a week later. He specifically said in that Instagram Live that I don't want to take away and to distract from the finals right now. There's still basketball being played. And yet here, right in the middle of the finals, the day after the Heat win game 2, this story breaks. It's just one of the weirdest things to happen. The other side of this leverage play is that Kyrie could also be trying to put out like, hey, I'm committed to Dallas right now because I'm even going to say, you think everybody thinks I want to go to LA? How about LeBron come to me? I'm committed here. Stop making up these stories. That could be a weird thing where Kyrie thinks that that's going to change everybody's mind about where he's going. It could also mean that Kyrie and LeBron really want to play together. And Kyrie's like, hey, LA, if you don't make a move for me, I'm going to try to make a move for LeBron to come to me where I am in Dallas right now. And it's a leverage play to get the Lakers to make a move for Kyrie. So I think it's one of those three things. Toss it up. It's smokescreen season.
Does anyone smell anything smoky?
Stay up to date all year on the Dallas Mavericks by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Mavericks on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, which NBA team is better because of their recent head coaching hire? Before we answer that, another NFL player is getting investigated for gambling. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's right, $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will win the NBA Finals. The final shift to Miami, but the Heat are not the favorites according to FanDuel. The Nuggets are currently 2.5-point favorites for Game 3. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. They're an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Indianapolis Colts cornerback Isaiah Rodgers is under investigation from the NFL for possible gambling violations. Rodgers reacted to the news on Twitter by saying he wants to, quote, take full responsibility. Rodgers reportedly placed approximately 100 bets, with many of them on Colts games. He started 9 games for Indianapolis last season and was seen as the heir apparent, with Stephon Gilmore having been traded to the Cowboys. The NFL explicitly prohibits its players from betting on NFL games, and it is particularly egregious that it was on games he played in. The Lions players that were suspended earlier this offseason made it very clear, and the NFL made it very clear, they were not betting on games they were playing in. This is a different animal altogether. The Cowboys released receiver Antonio Callaway on Monday in the wake of his arrest in Miami over the weekend. Dallas signed former Chargers receiver Tyron Johnson to replace Callaway in a corresponding move. Callaway was arrested Saturday due to an outstanding warrant for driving with a suspended license, according to a report from Fox Sports 640. The 26-year-old was reportedly taken into custody after identifying himself to law enforcement when the vehicle was pulled over for speeding. Monday's news marks the end of the latest chapter of Callaway's turbulent NFL career, which began in 2018 after he was selected in the 4th round by the Cleveland Browns. The Las Vegas Golden Knights dominated the Florida Panthers in Game 2 with a 7-2 win. Vegas now takes a 2-0 lead to Miami. 6 players had at least 2 points for Vegas. All 18 Knights skaters were on the ice for even strength goals, and their 9 goal scorers through the first 2 games are a Stanley Cup final record. The Knights' 7 goals tied a franchise mark for a playoff game. It was too much for Panthers goalie Sergei Bobrovsky, who was removed a little over 7 minutes into the second period, down 4-0. It was the 5th time in 12 games the Knights have chased the opposing goalie. This is the Golden Knights' 2nd appearance in the Stanley Cup final, And right now, they look like they are on their way to the franchise's first win. On the diamond, the St. Louis Cardinals have the worst record in the National League.
Tonight was a great example of why the Cardinals have the worst record in the National League. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals, and let me break this one down for you. Down 3-2 in the 8th. Runners on first and second and 1 out. They get an RBI double by Nolan Arenado, but a base running mistake cost them the go-ahead run. It kills the rally, and the score remains tied at 3. Top of the 9th, Arenado can't catch a pop-up in shallow left field. Wasn't an easy play, but that's usually pretty routine for Nolan. It falls, and that becomes the runner that ends up scoring on the walk-off single. Rangers win it 4-3. That's losing baseball, and unfortunately, that's been Cardinal baseball in 2023. For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
And are the Phillies back because they beat up on the Tigers?
Oh my goodness, the Philadelphia Phillies are so back. The Phillies take down the Detroit Tigers tonight. Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, an 8-3 victory. Trey Turner is hot. The league is on notice. He homers twice tonight, and that wasn't even the biggest performance. Aaron Nola, no-hitter through 6. Lost, unfortunately, on a Nick Maton home run, but Aaron Nola was unbelievable. The offense was great. 8 runs is great. Trey Turner homering twice is awesome. Just a wonderful, wonderful performance by the Philadelphia Phillies. And if Trey Turner, who had another hit tonight in addition to his home runs, stays this hot with the lineup that's already been hitting the way that some of these guys are, I mean, yeah, we all pointed to Trey Turner as being part of the issue with this team, but if he becomes what he was supposed to be, their offense is dangerous. I love it. We're going to talk about it more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
While the NBA Finals rages on, we have the NBA coaching carousel turning at breakneck speed. In fact, so speedy this year, we had the Atlanta Hawks make a move in season. Joining me now from Locked On NBA and Locked On Rockets, both of which will be relevant in this conversation, Jackson Gatlin. And Jackson, let's start with Ime Udoka and the Houston Rockets, because he, I think, gets lost in the shuffle a little bit because of the Rockets' place in the NBA hierarchy, and some of these other teams like Philadelphia, Phoenix, Milwaukee, who are contenders who fired their coach. This Ime hire, if you're Ime Udoka, why do you make the move to Houston?
I think when you look at the situation, there's been this narrative that's, I thought, been kind of weird where, maybe Ime Udoka regrets choosing the Rockets job as quickly as he did because the Rockets made their move very early at the end of the regular season. They identified who their targets were. They had their coaching search narrowed down to Ime Udoka, Frank Vogel, and at the time, Nick Nurse, who didn't wind up even getting an actual interview with the Houston Rockets before they just pounced on Ime Udoka as their guy to be their next head coach. And I think if you're Ime, you're looking at the situation where you could have probably had your pick of the litter of any of these other teams with all these head coaching vacancies. Now, I don't know if anybody expected there to be this many vacancies this offseason, because it has been just happening, like you said, at breakneck speed currently. But when you look at the Houston Rockets, you're not necessarily walking into a situation where if Udoka had walked into the Bucks head coaching position or the Sixers or any of these other teams that have championship aspirations where it's essentially championship or bust, that's a pretty high bar to set for yourself. Whereas with Houston, he gets the chance to really build something more or less from the ground up, establish a culture that he feels comfortable with, and ideally build something towards long-term sustainable future success. And I think that all the young talent in Houston, the possibility at the time of landing Victor Wembanyama in the NBA draft lottery, which has since the Rockets picks has landed at pick number 4. But all those factors, I think, came into play for Udoka's decision as to where he wanted to coach next.
Yeah, I think, too, you mentioned this idea of setting a high bar, and you might go, oh, well, he went to the finals in Boston. And I go, well, okay, that's true, but he's also someone who has a very short track record as a head coach. And that same Boston team, arguably a better roster, just sort of sleptwalked their way to the East Finals with a head coach that no one I know that follows the Boston Celtics thought was a great coach. So I think there's plenty of pressure on Ime Udoka to prove that he is a really good coach, though I think he can be. When you look at some of these other moves. We've got Adrian Griffin in Milwaukee. What happened with Nick Nurse in Philadelphia, Monty Williams, and the absolute Brinks truck he got to go be the Detroit Pistons head coach. Is there a move that stands out to you as either I don't understand that at all, or yeah, that just makes perfect sense?
I think the Monty Williams one is maybe the biggest one, just because I think we at times get lost in how important coaching really is for these teams. And that's the one area where, there's constraints, there's salary cap figures, and you're constantly playing that game of Tetris on how to piece together what is hopefully one day a championship roster. But the one area that ownership and, ownership groups can really shell out money and get a competitive edge over any other team in the association is with coaching. And when you look at what the Pistons did by, like you said, bringing out the Brinks truck for Monty Williams, highest paid coach in NBA history, 6 years, $78.5 million. I think it says a couple things. It says, one, they really wanted to bring in a guy that they thought could elevate the organization, but two, not necessarily to where expectations next season are, okay, they've got to start winning games or anything. Anytime you get into the territory of a 5-6 year long commitment to a head coach, I feel like that kind of shows a confidence in that candidate, in that coach, that, hey, we're going to give you the runtime, or I should say the runway, to build something special here. We believe in the vision that we think you can achieve for this organization, and we want to see that come to fruition. So I think Monty Williams in Detroit has a chance to do something really special. Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey are going to benefit immensely from him. And the fact that he was also able to go ahead and add Steven Silas to his staff as his top assistant. Silas had a bit of a rough and tumble few years in Houston for a variety of reasons, but ultimately he has been widely regarded as a invaluable top assistant across the NBA landscape for the majority of his career. And I have zero doubts that he's going to fit right in, being able to slide maybe more into his good cop role, if you will, with Monty Williams occupying the bad cop role.
Stay up to date all year on the NBA by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On NBA on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, A's fans are proving their dedication to a team that clearly is not dedicated to them. The Oakland A's are moving, we think. There's a possibility they could not move, but it's not as if they remain on the best of terms with the city of Oakland. Regardless, A's fans have a plan to show ownership that they have not been deterred, as Locked On A's host Jason Burke details.
Reverse boycott is basically to show the baseball world that there are baseball fans in Oakland. We are passionate about our team, but ownership has driven us away. They don't market the product. They don't put out good gear anymore. There's no good sweatshirts. There's not anything good or likable about this team. And yet we still show up in droves when there's a competitive product on the field. Right now, there's not. So there's no fans. And they're using it to be like, oh, see, nobody cares about the team. Well, you know who else doesn't care about the team? The owner. The owner does not care about this team. And so that is what we are going to try and show as A's fans. It's a Tuesday, so everybody's out of school, right? Come out to the ballpark. Why not? They have lots of cheap tickets for these games now, so go do that. Also, there is this is the somewhat big news, but Oaklandish and the Oakland 68s, they have combined forces and they are producing shirts at cost. That's $5 per t-shirt. That is at cost to hand out to A's fans that are attending this boycott game and reverse boycott game. And so it's a pretty cool thing. It started last weekend, I believe. And the goal was to raise $25,000 to be able to print out 5,000 shirts. And as of this morning, they were at $27,000. And that is just awesome. The A's fans are producing their own giveaway for a reverse boycott game. And